business is difficult. There are struggles. There's going to be problems. But in most cases, we are our own problem because, we stay stuck, doing the same thing just as we talked about day in, day out.
Real business owner.
Whatever your situation is currently is not your forever situation.
That's really what real business owners is, man. Like, we don't care where you come from. Where are you going?
Our goal and our job is to reduce the mistakes that you have to make or the money that you have to lose.
You want to be an entrepreneur, you want to be successful, don't give up.
You learn, adjust, and continue to move forward.
Welcome back to another episode of the Real Business Owners Podcast. Today, you've got me, Kilo G. And you got Trev Dog.
T-Unit.
That's right.
Yeah.
First of all, you guys, we're going to jump into a cool topic here, chat with you guys for a little bit, but, just wanted to give you guys an update. We are selling tickets to the rbolive.com. Real Business Owners Live. You guys are going to want to come kick it with us over there. We've got an amazing things lined up, and the more the merrier. But space is limited. So anyway, we are running out of seats, and so if you are going to come join us, get your ticket now, right? And come hang out.
Yeah. Well, not just come hang out. Come get better as a human being, as a business owner, right? Like, hanging out's cool. Like, that's a fun part of it because you're around like-minded people, but like literally invest into the areas that are of importance to you, which is yourself and your business, right? Like, the way you show up for your family, the way that you show up for your business, that does matter. And if you're not really investing into that, then you're going to continue to show up the same way, and you're going to get very, very familiar with the current results that you have. So anybody that's in business has frustrations and has stresses and has problems, right? The idea is to move past those as quickly as possible and create solutions for them, when I think that most business owners feel as though that they're dealing with the same reoccurring problems day after day after day. And that's what gets frustrating. Like, it's okay to deal with problems in business, but problems because you're scaling, because you're evolving, and it's new problems that you have to solve, not necessarily the same old ones day in, day out, where it gets super repetitive and you just are a broken record coming home complaining about the same old shit with your business, right?
I've actually had some really cool DMs, right? In Real Business Owners and in the personal one. And dude, there's some really cool cats that are like, dude, it's like, I really want to join the mastermind. Yeah. I'm not there yet. I can't make that commitment yet. This is like my opportunity to come and learn from your guys' world, right? And like for a few $100, right? Yeah. So, I guarantee you, we look at those people in a few years from now, they're going to be passed up. They're going to be passing up all kinds of people that are literally like, I can't leave. I can't afford it. I can't, leave my business. It's like, it's actually necessary for you to step out and go do it, right? Make it happen, because if you don't, put yourself in a different environment and get a better view of your business and align yourself with the right people, like, you're going to stay stuck in that business.
Well, how you know if it's time to really do something like that is if you feel down, depressed, alone, defeated, deflated, however you want to put it. Yeah. And let's be real, if you're a business owner, like, there's many seasons of that, and it's okay to go through seasons like that and grow, but it's not okay to have that be the only season that you're dealing with, right? And it just feels like it's very repetitive. If 1 week turns into 6 months, turns into 2 years, and you just feel like you're living Groundhog Day and it's like dark and depressing, that's when you know you need to be investing into the environments that will give you the energy that you need to, recommit and relaunch and, readjust maybe, your business and your life, right? Yeah. Start designing it rather than living it. So
absolutely.
So we wanted to talk about, simplifying things, right? Yeah. Like, us as business owners, we like to try to make things, I don't know if I would say like to try to make things harder, but we do, for whatever reason, make things harder than they need to be, almost to justify that, nobody can do what we can do, right? Like, it feels better if it's harder, so that when we complain, we feel just, right? And so business is difficult. There are struggles. There's going to be problems, but in most cases, we are our own problem because, we stay stuck, doing the same thing, just as we talked about, day in, day out. That was the whole point of why, attending things with new information is important as well, right?
Yeah. Well, dude, and like what we've learned over the last, I'd say 8 months in our own business is like sometimes we try to solve problems by adding to the problem, thinking it's going to create a solution when all it did was complicate it instead of simplify it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just like layering things. Like I can think of, in our business, obviously Devin came in and he's like, I feel like we keep layering these roles on top of things to make things better for the client. And now we're super bloated on payroll and it's still not happening. And it's a problem, instead of us being like, oh, you know what? We just need to automate some requests from the client so that we don't have to add all these different positions to try and get things from the client.
Yeah.
And so like, that's one thing I could think of, right? Where it was like right in front of our face the whole time, but we were just like trying to give like the most amazing experience. And so we're just throwing money at adding roles and extra support when we didn't really need to do all of that.
Or
right?
Throwing more technology, another system, another this. Like you want the problem to go away so much that you just kind of start throwing money at it instead of breaking it down and trying to simplify it, right?
Yeah.
And how like really it's more of an ego thing, right? If we're not simplifying it, it's because we want to again justify our bitching and our complaining. So we make it hard. We become the bottleneck in our business. And there's so many cool tools and things like that are available. Even as we were talking before we came on, chatgpt, right?
Yeah.
Like people don't use it because it's unfamiliar, it's new, it's different, and that's when if you're just absolutely closed-minded to new, unfamiliar, and different, that you might be the bottleneck in your own business, right?
Such a good point.
The idea is to be leveraging things, right? They say either leverage, automate, or delegate, right? And how you automate is through leverage, utilizing tools that are available. Yeah. And there's plenty of people that are probably in the trades that still do it old school.
Yeah.
Pen and paper.
Yeah.
And here's your invoice, and then they don't even know who to bill or who to collect. When there's apps and there's different things that are available, and so it would do people a lot of good to even this, hey, hiring a senior staff accountant. Our CEO said, hey, just write a quick description so that we can post this. So if you're a senior accountant looking for a job, hit us up. By the way.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So
let's simplify the whole hiring process here and just put it out on the podcast.
Yeah, I'll just say that. Yeah. Come work with us. But I typed in chat GPT. Senior staff accountant duties. Yeah. Boom, 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 boom. It's all done. I copy paste it. Put it on Indeed, on iHire. Whatever the Wise Hire or whatever. Why do they put the damn Z, WIZE? It makes me, I'm just like, read it, Wiz Hire, E silent.
Was probably a more expensive domain name and already taken.
Well, they should have just got a .net then, wisehire.net instead of the .com. But what were you going to say?
It's a wise wizard hybrid, dude.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? So,
we were talking about leveraging technology and tools, the paper.
So when ChatGPT came out,
Yeah.
I actually was a little close-minded because everybody we know was like using it to produce content. And I'm like, but why? Like, I couldn't feel proud of like saying, hey, write me a Facebook post today about, whatever, winning the day. Yeah. Instead of like using my own words, right? Yeah. And so, but I do find myself using it a lot more in like research or something, or if I hear something in an audiobook or something, I'm like, what does that mean? Like ChatGPT it. Like literally, I went and downloaded Bing search bar because it's already built in there, and it's actually been really good, dude. Like instead of going and downloading the other ChatGPT apps and robots, I just went and downloaded Bing. Because they have it integrated right in with their search tool, like Google, Oh,
wow.
So it's like, it's really good, dude.
Yeah,
so
I didn't know that.
I've just been using that one. But so I am becoming more open-minded to it. And especially for things like you talked about just barely, it's like, why like sit there for an hour trying to figure out the best hiring ad and what the duties are when you can literally accelerate it and have it ready in 5-10 minutes?
Well, for us, for instance, an accounting firm, I could type in checklist for senior staff accountant for tax season to best serve client. And it's going to say, have them do these things, copy paste. And you could put it in, hey, these are your job duties. Make sure that these things are done. These are your checklists. Like, there's really not a whole lot of excuses anymore on why you can't get somewhat organized or systemized, unless your ego's in the way and it's just, hey, this is what we've done, and this is how we've always done it, and this is how I'm always going to do it.
Right.
Which is, the Blockbuster method.
Yeah, it's true.
We know we know what happened there. Toys R Us, they're not winning no more.
Yeah,
right?
All this new stuff's
Kmart.
just a phase. It's fad. It's not gonna last.
Yeah, well. They're the ones that didn't last, right? So you got to be very, very careful about saying that this is the way that we've always done it, and being completely closed-minded. Because if you're doing it the way that you've always done it and it's 5 years later, there has to be some sort of technology or something that's come out that solves some of the problems that you're dealing with in your business, because that's just how fast things are moving in this day and age, right?
And simplifying is what's winning, right? So you talk about Blockbuster and Toys R Us going out of business. It's like, well, obviously they weren't at a point where they were willing to adapt and pivot. So these people come in and they're like, well, let's just simplify it. Let's bring it to their house for them. Well, Amazon, we'll deliver the toys to your house. Simplifying for the client, right? Yeah. So there's simplifying in your business, but then there's also simplifying
in
for
general.
your client. Like, nobody wants a complex, problem.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and we saw that even in our accounting company. We got ourselves in a jam because we're like trying to migrate from one technology to another technology because it was better and simpler, but some of our clients knew this and some of our clients, weren't happy with this. And so we're trying to create a new system to gather documents and do tax organizers. And then we all of a sudden had all these, systems
different
we were working
systems,
out.
and it bogs it down.
Yeah, it's like the Canopy one, our CRM, the not Salesforce,
Go
high level one. It's and we're using all these things, and all of a sudden it was just overcomplicated, right?
Over leveraged. So it's like we were trying to leverage technology, but there's also a problem with over leveraging it and trying to use 2 or 3 different systems in the sake of trying to make it a better experience for the employee and the customer, right? Yeah. And so that then became a problem. So there is somewhat of a hybrid here, leveraging technology, but also making sure that it's still a simple process. Mm-hmm. It's easy to digest for the employee, where they know what they need to be doing on a day-to-day basis. They know what a home run looks like, and also simplifying things for the customer experience, right?
I think that's one of the biggest lessons that we can talk about today. And when we come talk about simplifying is it sneaks up on you. You don't really realize it. Like Trev's talking about, your ego definitely can get in the way of a lot of things. You could be the leader of the company being like, well, I like this software better, but the other part of the team's like, well, we want to test this one. Okay, let's do both. And before you know it, now you're using both. Mm-hmm. And it's like, oh, now we've just made it more complicated for our employees, and we've made it more complicated for our customers. And the bottom line is if you have to remember always that your people don't work for you, you work for them, right? Mm-hmm. So, your job is to try to create an experience for your employees and your customers. And if the experience is complicated, it's not scalable. And so you as the leader, you've got to be able to get out of your own way, set the ego aside, and implement what's best for everybody and what's the most simple, and keep it simple, right? Things evolve and things adapt, and that's why it's easy to sneak up on you. People don't realize that they've overcomplicated something because there's this, thing called evolution, where it's like, well, my business is growing and technology's adapted, and now we've had to do these things to have more speed, and but there is an obligation that you have to have that high level view as a leader of your company, and always be humble, have enough humility to ask yourself that question, if I implement this, am I making things worse or better for my staff, right? And then sometimes on the flip side, staff just complains anyway to complain, right? So it's like they don't like change.
Yeah.
And so there is like this weird balance that you do have to play of like, well, I mean, it's not going to be easy, but they're going to thank me later because this is much simpler. And so,
well, you brought up a good point. You know, staff complaining to complain, right?
yeah.
So let's put it this way. There's business owners that say, this is the way that it's been done. This is the way I'm always going to do it. Guess what? There's employees like that too.
Yeah.
Right. So like, let's say you start leveraging things, automating things, trying to simplify things, just because I remember as a sales guy, you know, with a piece of paper and a pen, and then computers got brought in.
Yeah, I remember that too.
Right. And it was just like, no. This is the way that we do it, because it was the way that I was comfortable.
Yeah.
And my ego's like, no, change. No, that, you know, change is bad.
Yeah.
Like I already know
I didn't
what
even
I'm
pass
doing.
my typing test in computer class.
Yeah, dude, I was the you know what, the
was the
hunt and
worst
peck
too, dude.
method, and it was like 9 words a minute when there's people like not even looking at the screen, staring down at a paper going 100, right? It was ridiculous. So I didn't have a good relationship with computers.
You and me both.
With my
I like the
with
old
my
print
IQ.
out your leads and
Yeah,
get a good old pen and
here's
paper.
you cross the name out. If they said no, and you just put no. They said no.
Do you
know?
remember though when you would get a new sales manager and their format on printout of leads would suck on paper? Like they didn't
some
leave
of them were
boxes
the big fat one, boxes
where you could actually write little notes in
and
there.
then there's like the skinny ones. You're like,
dude, you just ruined my life.
yeah, that's like where I take notes, bro. And then the computer got brought in, right? And then now it's just like, I can't do that because it was new and it was different. And it's not that it wasn't better; it was just new and different. So I had pushback. I pushed back as an employee at that time, and it's going to be the exact same thing. Like if you have people in your organizations and you try to simplify things or change things, they're not going to like change either. Humans really we don't do well with it for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But the computer got brought in. And I was like, whatever, this is stupid. I'll play the game, and try to figure it out. And then very quickly, it was just like, oh, well, this is cool. You start liking it because it does simplify things. So just because it's new and different doesn't mean that it's not better. It just means that it's unfamiliar, and you might have employees that do push back on that. And I'm not saying, hey, there's the front door immediately with a little bit of pushback. Obviously, massage the situation as much as you can. But anytime that you make change in your organization or in your business, you're going to have, some fallout, some drop off, right? Some people aren't going to stay with you every single change that you make within your business. And it's very important to design your business and have the vision for your business in the future around specific roles and the things that you need within your organization to win, like a client care department, senior accountant, junior accountant, not necessarily specific names like Kale and Trevor in this, so it's like design your business around the roles that you have within your organization that would make it successful, and don't get married to a specific name inside of that role, because as you make changes and as you evolve, not everybody's going to stay with you. They might throw a big enough stink where it's just no longer a good fit, and they worked with you and helped you got to a certain point, and maybe it's best for both parties at that point to part ways, and for that individual to find something that is a better fit for their perspective or their attitude or whatever you want to call it. But every single time that we've made changes or adjustments, let's be real, as you're taking off and as you're launching into space, there's things dropping off the rocket, right? And unfortunately, not everything that you started with, you're going to end with, right?
Yeah.
The next thing you know, you're in space with this little teeny capsule, and everything else is, falling apart. And those are people that are falling, out of your organization as you're skyrocketing, right? And as you're elevating. And so just understand when you do leverage technology and you do make changes, you're going to have idiots like me that aren't going to like it at first, but at least, I had the humility to at least say screw it, like I'll give it a shot, right? You're gonna have some people that don't really want that, and they're gonna complain for months and months and months. I like the way that it was, Those are obviously not the right ones.
And sometimes they just need that nudge and everything's fine. So like our brother Steve down at the Mastermind meetup last week. Yeah, he was in our breakout table, and he was like,
Gibson,
dude,
or Pedroza.
He's like, dude, like, there's a beef happening in he's like, everything in my company's great, bro. Like, we've just been breaking record after record. Like, he's doing amazing, right? Yeah. But there is this weird quarrel going on where there's the old dogs don't like the new dogs doing things faster and better than they did it. When, he's like, because it's true, bro. Like, we used to have to grind 12, 13 hours a day to do what we're doing in 7 hours now. Yeah. And I'm like, dude, that's a pretty easy problem to solve. Like, you need to pull your big dogs aside, the OGs, right? And you just say, hey, guys, listen up. Like, let's keep running this play. Almost like you're tricking the young dogs. Like, these guys know how to use ChatGPT. These guys know how to, use the best technology nowadays. We used to grind our asses off. And so while we might not like that they're coming in and doing this, right? Like, getting things done faster, can we not admit that, like, our lives are better? Like, we're working less? Yeah. Can we not admit that, they
are taking some of the workload off of your shoulders, therefore enhancing your life? You just aren't looking at it like that. You're looking at it as in, like, they are making me look bad.
Exactly. And like you said, the ego, right? So it's like some guy comes in like, I laid 100 feet of pipe last night. And he's like, well, I've done that before. And so this is what I told Steve. I'm like, so dude, instead of so pull these guys aside, the OGs that used to do the grind with you, and be like, let's all admit it. Our lives are getting better. And we're making more and we have more time back. So do we really want to get in the way of letting these guys come in and outproduce us in less hours every day? Or do we want to encourage it? So the guy comes in, he's like, hey, I laid 100, feet of pipe today, okay, well, dude, hell yeah, like, cheer him on. And so you tell your OGs, like almost like we tricked them, right? Yeah. Like, it's working. Let's keep running that play. And anyway, Steve's like, dude, you're right. That's actually exactly what I need to do. And then he's like, what else I need to do is I need to go out, because he designs his future org chart, right? Based on that's his, that's the way he does his visionary work. Yeah. He already has him built as like a board member in his company worth X amount and all these new roles so that he's out of all those roles. And, and I think it's brilliant, right? Like, I love that. And so he's like, dude, I'm going to actually update them and show them where I see them on the future org chart. And then I'm going to have that talk with them. And really, and that's what it comes down to is we complicate things, like you said, because the ego's in the way. And then as a leader of a company, you want to try and mediate this weird situation because you want to have these guys back that are new and outproduce them. But you love these guys that have went through the grind with you, and so you sometimes overcomplicate things instead of simplify things by trying to make both people happy, when really you could just be like, guys,
we need your buy-in. Like, if
we have this production because we got their buy-in. Do we really want to screw that up? Yeah. A little honesty, right? Yeah.
Like, now we need you to buy in on the future vision and how this is a good thing, not a bad thing, right? Yeah. I mean, even here on one of the things when I was reading about ego, it says, they don't respect competition, right? Yeah. People that have ego, right?
Yeah.
Like,
especially they think they've already earned their stripes,
Yeah, like, that's Blockbuster. They didn't respect Redbox, the competition, right? And that ultimately destroyed them. They're, looking at these younger people as competition. They're not really giving them the respect that they deserve. Why don't they be a part of the team and utilize those individuals to help serve the greater purpose of the business, which ultimately serves a greater purpose in their life, because now the business is enhanced, right? The business that they work for, right? Like, why don't you want the team as an overall, like, that's what's so weird to me. It's like, if you work in an organization and you work in a business, like, when people start having internal beef with inside of a business, it's like, dude, you guys both work for the exact same company. Like, why wouldn't you want the company to win at the highest possible level through collaboration? Right. Because, like, if it's making more money and gets to a massive, massive level, you guys all win and benefit. But if you sit there and butt heads and look at each other as just straight up competition, like you're tearing not only each other down, but you're stunning the growth of an actual business that has the ability to help you guys win, your family win, and have a greater future just all together, right? And I wish more people had that type of a mindset. Like when you bring in a new salespeople might be like, oh, this is going to take my job, or a new videographer, like as my job, no, like serve each other. Like, hey, have you tried this? Have you used this? This is how you edit better. Like collab with people. And you'll be far better off. Collaboration
what is that?
Is a form of simplicity, right?
Yeah. Oh, totally.
Instead of like,
exactly. It's a great point.
Yeah.
What is that podcast editing software we use now, Nick? Yeah.
Yeah. What is it?
Has it sped it up though? Significantly. Yeah. Were you a little resistant at first? You didn't like it.
It's not Descript, is it?
Yeah.
No.
That's
so Corey told me about it. It was a few months ago.
Yeah.
And, you guys probably couldn't hear Nick because he's not on the mic, but he's like, yeah, dude, it sped things up significantly, which gives him more time to work on other things and create more value for the company. Therefore, once the company has more value, he's going to get paid more, right?
Yeah.
So, but he was resistant at first, and I remember Corey telling me that. I was like, I don't think Nick likes this new software, but
leveraging technology.
Yeah, it's just AI, bro. Honestly, it cuts out a lot of the uhs and ums and add whatever. It makes his job a lot faster.
Well, in that case, I mean, it probably works overtime on us. We do a lot of ums and ahs, that's just, that listeners maybe just don't get to hear it.
They don't charge per edit, do they?
Per and per ah. We'd be bankrupt by now. So we're just as bad as anybody else on a podcast, that's first, trying it out. So we just...
I will say though, Steve he's got a great business in this, and it's awesome that's the biggest problem he has in his company right now. He's like, how do I merge these guys? And it's so easy for the old dogs that have done the grind. It's just like our older generation and the generation down below us. We're like, they have no idea. Like they didn't go through what I went through. And there is a weird ego there.
Yeah,
right?
It's just change because Nick didn't like change. He felt it was like I didn't like change on the computer. The old dogs over there at his business isn't liking the change of the new, like it's just really just change. And that just shows you right there with just those 3 examples that we just gave, how important it is, because again, if those guys do change and serve the new people coming in his business, it'll help the business overall and will help them. The computer came into my life and I thought it was a bad thing and it's helped, right? The software that we're now leveraging, that our boy Nick behind the camera here doing the podcast with us, it simplified his life, but it was just like, no, I don't like it. It's not that it didn't make his life better or easier. It's just that it was unfamiliar. Yeah. And so the question is could you simplify your business? You're just not really trying, or you're not doing it because you're not looking into ways to do it, because you don't like change. You don't like something that's unfamiliar, because there is that phase that you have to go through from, how you've always done it to learning something new to, and part of an ego is saying that you can't self-assess. Yeah. So if you can't say like there has to be a better way and it's just my ego getting in the way saying it's always been done like this, then that's a problem, right? You will eventually be evolved out of business because everybody else around you, the new dogs or will come in and leverage technology. Like if you've done the same thing and you're 40 years old and you've done it for 15 years, guess what? There's 25-year-olds that grew up with a computer like since elementary school that knows technology and will out leverage you. Less time, less effort, less energy, less stress, and will produce more results than what you're producing because that's what they know is all the new stuff. And if you're not actually trying to understand what's there and available for your business to leverage, you will eventually get out leveraged and go out of business. Like that's just a matter of time.
I was literally going to say the same thing, man. Like it is your job as the owner of the company the world's moving fast, bro. Yeah. It's moving fast. Like, especially, look at ChatGPT. I mean, we've already had AI being this thing for, a few years. And then all of a sudden ChatGPT is just pours gas on it, right? And it's like it is your job as a business owner to make sure that you are keeping an eye on these things and you're verifying these things. You don't just go do it because it's the hot new thing. That can be destructive, but like verify it. And if it's something that can simplify your business, do it, right? Like we're building automated, reach outs, within our CRM so that like our accountants can check a button no matter what document it is that we're requesting from a client, and it can sit there and text them every 3 days until we get it. Yeah. Right. And so it's like, but now our accountants can sit there and work away while some other robot is that sounds just like
counting down time.
Hey, still need that document. Yeah. Hey, still need that document.
3 days, document. Right. 3 days. Yeah. So,
and you make it super simple by just checking a box in a certain document request, and now it'll just automatically reach out to the customer, So like all this stuff is like available to us, and the world's moving super, super, super fast, and it is kind of your job to keep an eye on that kind of stuff. Be humble enough to look at it and see what problem could this solve in my company for me, my people, and my customers. And once you verify it, test it, whatever, implement it. Watch what happens. Time and money shows up.
Yeah. Even simplifying your personal life.
Yeah.
Right? Like business life, personal, like simplicity wins, right? When everything's overcomplicated and too many things coming at you at once, and it just bogs the human down, right? And so leverage technology within your business. Try to simplify your personal life, right? Like you people hear all the time on our podcast how people have routines, and it seems hard, but to them it's simple because they know what the next day looks like. I already know I'm going to wake up at X time. The last podcast we had, Adam, he says, I wake up at 4:30 and then I do this. His brain doesn't have to really think about it. Yeah. Like it's a known fact that we only make X amount of good decisions in a day. It's called decision fatigue. And once you get to X amount of decisions and that's like you only being able to run a certain amount of miles. Your body can only handle a certain amount of miles before it's going to get fatigued. Right. Your mind's doing the exact same thing in terms of like making choices. What hat am I going to wear? What shirt am I going to wear? What shoes am I going to wear? Am I going to get up and exercise or am I not? What am I going to eat? Like a lot of people that are high performers, like, that's why Bill Gates and Zuckerberg and some of these people, they wear the same, even Steuben, where he wears the same damn black shirt, or whatever, right? They simplify their life as much as they possibly can, reduce the amount of decisions they make by designing their day and saying, this is just what I do. And they show up to that day without having to think about it, doing X, boom, 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 boom. Yeah. And that's a form of simplification, right? So that they can get the result that they want. Because if they design their day just like that, they would design their business in terms of simplicity, their business would go further, and their personal life, their health or whatever it is, would also go further in the big scope of things, right?
Yeah, so love that. I think we covered it, did we?
Oh, it's covered.
Yeah, simplify.
It's like a covered wagon.
Shit.
It's just, you know what I mean? Let's call it a covered wagon. If those that know what that is, know what that is. Those that don't Google it on, what's that site, the slang words or whatever?
Oh, not Ask Jeeves.
Chive.
Chive. Is it chive?
I don't know. It's something else. I don't know. Some slang terms or whatever. Ask Jeeves.
I remember all the old school shit.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother episode we could go into, though. Distractions, right?
Yeah.
So, talking about simplifying your personal life. So we'll save that one for another one.
We'll save that one for later. Guys, make sure you're rating or reviewing or whatever, 5-starring, the podcast. I haven't seen a review come through in probably like 4 or 5 weeks. It's been a while. Yeah. We got them very regularly for a long period of time. So, if you're one of those listeners that's been, taking in information that's been benefiting you for, the last few years, or even a new listener that's been benefiting the last month or two, but you're being stingy with your time and not giving us like two minutes, like fucking send it. You know what I mean? Help some homies out. Other than that, get your ticket at rbolive.com. Come to the event. Come kick it. Come grow.
Don't sleep
get
on
better. Other than that, keep kicking ass. We'll see you guys next week.
Peace.